Kellogg's wants to fill your mouth with pride, highways are racist, and we're going to go over the ugly truth behind Black Lives Matter. Hey guys, my name is Jason Wesley, and this is another episode of Not a Podcast. So this episode is going to be all about the news that you probably didn't hear about, but you should probably know. Kellogg's wants to fill your mouth with pride with their new heart-shaped cereal. Kellogg's new Together with Pride cereal will create opportunities for homes and families to have conversations about the importance of acceptance, compassion, and understanding, especially when it comes to LGBTQ plus youth. Because sex is the conversation that I want to have with my child over a bowl of cereal before they're old enough to even be thinking about sex. Kellogg is not only building on an ongoing commitment to support the LGBT plus community, but initiatives that spotlight the importance of using correct pronouns to create safe and welcoming spaces for trans and non-binary people, Ellis said.
Come on, man.
And in other news, highways are racist. So if you saw one of my other episodes of Not a Podcast titled Pete Buttigieg for Transportation Secretary and Highways Are Racist, this story is back in the news. Highways are racist and the Biden administration is going to get rid of those racist highways. A woman called for a highways removal in a black neighborhood. The White House singled it out in its infrastructure plan. I'm floored, she said. I'm thrilled to hear President Biden would call out the Claiborne Expressway as a racist highway. Stelly, an architectural engineer, is part of a growing movement across the country to take down highways bored through neighborhoods, predominantly home to people of color. Most were created as the federal government worked to connect the nation after the birth of the interstate highway system. Many such highways are reaching the end of their 50-year lifespans, raising the question of whether they should be rebuilt or reimagined. Now there's that new catchword called reimagine. It's not an actual thing, it's just a catch-all word. Let's reimagine policing. Let's reimagine highways. What if you walked in on your significant other in the bed with somebody else and caught them cheating and they said, no, I'm not cheating. I just want to reimagine our relationship. I want to get rid of the stigma of cheating. Can you imagine that? Reimagine. I guess you could just apply it to anything that you want to change. I mean, they might as well just make the highways like the Jetsons, maybe in the sky or something.
Look at that traffic. The Skyway is jammed.
Just last week in the New York Times, can removing highways fix America's cities? The growing movement has been energized by support from the Biden administration, which has made addressing racial justice and climate change major themes in the debate over highway removal central to its agenda. Since when was there a movement? Pete Buttigieg, who heads the department, has expressed support for removing barriers that divided black and minority communities, saying that there is racism physically built into some of our highways. Mid-century highway projects often targeted black neighborhoods, destroying cultural and economic centers and bringing decades of environmental harm. Yeah. And highways were built so slave catchers, aka modern day police, could get to the north and catch those pesky slaves and bring them back to the south. Also, no black people or minorities drive on highways because they're too poor and don't know how to use cars or highways. Wait, no, I got that wrong. It was computers.
A lot of people don't know how to register. Not everybody in the community, in the Hispanic and the African American community, particularly in rural areas that are distant and or inner city districts, know how to get online.
Come on, man.
Gotta love the soft bigotry of low expectations. In another story, former BLM leader sounds off on the group's ugly truth. Watch this.
Then I went on to earn a master's in education from St. Mary's University of Minnesota. I am living proof that no matter your start in life, quality education is a pathway to success. I want the same success for our children in our communities. That's why in 2015, I was a founder of Black Lives Matter in St. Paul. I believe the organization stood for exactly what the name implies. Black lives do matter. However, after a year on the inside, I learned they had little concern for rebuilding black families, and they cared even less about improving the quality of education for students in Minneapolis. That was made clear when they publicly denounced charter schools alongside the teachers union. I was an insider in Black Lives Matter, and I learned the ugly truth. The moratorium on charter schools does not support rebuilding the black family, but it does create barriers to a better education for black children. I resigned from Black Lives Matter after a year and a half, but I didn't quit working to improve black lives and access to a great education.
Now, I'm not knocking him, but how long did it take him before he finally read the mission statement? I mean, it said it in the mission statement. I mean, did you just not believe it? You remember Marcellus Wiley talking about it?
I don't know how many people really look into the mission statement of Black Lives Matter, but I did. And when you look into it, there's a couple things that jump out to me. And I'm a black man who's been black, and my life has mattered since 1974. And this organization was founded in 2013. I'm proud of you. But I've been fighting this fight for me and for others a lot longer. Two things. My family structure is so vital and important to me. Not only the one I grew up in, but the one I'm trying to create right now. Being a father and a husband, that's my mission in life right now. How do I reconcile that, what I just told you, with this mission statement that says, quote, we dismantle the patriarchal practice. We disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family structure requirement. When I know statistics, when I know my reality, forget statistics. I knew this before I even went to Columbia and saw these same statistics that I'm going to read to you right now. That children from single-parent homes versus two-parent homes. The children from the single-parent homes, this is in 1995 I was reading this. 5 times more likely to commit suicide. 6 times more likely to be in poverty. 9 times more likely to drop out of high school. 10 times more likely to abuse chemical substances. 14 times more likely to commit rape. 20 times more likely to end up in prison. And 32 times more likely to run away from home. I knew that. You know why I knew it? Because a lot of my friends didn't have family structures that were nuclear like mine, and they found themselves outside of their dreams and goals and aspirations. So when I see that, or as a mission statement for Black Lives Matter, it makes me scratch my head.
Either way, I'm glad he's actually doing something to help the community instead of just raising hundreds of millions of dollars and propagandizing off the deaths of black people and doing nothing to actually help black families. And he wasn't the only one to come out against Black Lives Matter. Samaria Rice, Tamir Rice's mom, tells activists to stop profiting off of her son's death. Samaria Rice and Lisa Simpson, mothers of Tamir Rice and Richard Risher, respectively, are slamming civil rights activists, attorneys, and organizations for allegedly exploiting the deaths of their sons. They asked Tamika D. Mallory, Sean King, Benjamin Crump, Lee Merritt, Patrice Cullors, Melina Abdullah, and the Black Lives Matter Global Network to step down and stop monopolizing and capitalizing on their fight for justice and human rights. We never hired them to be the representatives in the fight for justice for our dead loved ones murdered by the police, both mothers said in a joint statement. The activists have events in our cities and have not given us anything substantial for using our loved ones' images and names on their flyers, Rice added. In the case of Tamir Rice, it was even questionable as whether Benjamin Crump knew the laws in depth in the state of Ohio. I fired him 6 to 8 months into Tamir's case. Even Breonna Taylor's mom, Tamika Palmer, called it a fraud. I've never personally dealt with BLM Louisville and personally found them to be a fraud. Attica Scott is another fraud. I could walk into a room full of people who claim to be here for Breonna's family who don't even know who I am. I've watched y'all raise money on behalf of Breonna's family who has never done a damn thing for us, nor have we needed it or asked, so talk about fraud. It's amazing how many people have lost focus. I'm gonna say this before I go. I'm so sick of some of y'all. Enough is enough. Michael Brown's father and Ferguson activists went after BLM as well. Michael Brown's father and Ferguson activists won a chunk of the $90 million that BLM raised during the racial reckoning of 2020.
What kind of movement are we building where we're saying Black Lives Matter, but the freedom fighters and the families are being left behind? Where is our restitution? Where is our organizing? Where is our building of a movement? We're asking that Black Lives Matter leadership funds $20 million to Ferguson organizers, organizations, and community foundations to do the work. We're not begging for a handout. We're coming for what we deserve.
But hey, I guess that's not as bad as the BLM activist Sir Major Page using the name Black Lives Matter of Greater Atlanta to raise money and then spend over $200,000 to purchase homes, guns, clothes, etc. According to the FBI announces the arrest of Sir Major Page.
A complaint was filed with the FBI in April of this year. Agents say Page used donations to purchase food, entertainment, a home security system, tailored suits, and accessories. They say in 2018, he set up the account named Black Lives Matter of Greater Atlanta Incorporated. The account balance never exceeded $5,000 and at one point had a negative balance of $12.
At one point, there was a balance of negative $12? Really? Roll the tape.
In June, that account received more than $36,000 in donations. In July, it got approximately $371,000 in donations. And in August, an additional $60,000 in donations. Investigators say all this money was transferred into a bank account owned and operated by Page. His neighbors are shocked.
Oh my goodness, that's terrible.
FBI agents say Page has no receipts.
Wait a damn minute. Y'all not just gonna slide right on past that neighbor. Let's watch that again.
His neighbors are shocked.
Oh my goodness, that's terrible.
FBI agents say Page has no receipts to show he used the money for social or racial justice. They say in June of this year, Page responded to private social media messages and claimed the funds had been donated to the fight for George Floyd and that none of the funds have been used for personal items, all movement related. Agents say, however, in June, July, and August, Page repeatedly used a debit card linked to the same account to make personal purchases.
So he took money as BLM Greater Atlanta and bought a house in Toledo, Ohio? Now this is the same dude that was accused of impersonating an FBI agent that ran for Atlanta City Council just back in 2016.
And now the Atlanta man accused of impersonating a police officer and posing as an FBI agent wants to be at the center of City Council.
Yeah, you might know Tyree Page as Sir Major. He's been an outspoken activist with Black Lives Matter of Greater Atlanta. And today he announced his plan to run for Atlanta City Council president. Major's team says he filed his paperwork this morning at City Hall and that he's running for council president because he has a, quote, social responsibility and moral obligation to step up. Page ultimately pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor obstruction charge and is currently on probation.
Come on, man.
So those were just a few stories that you probably didn't hear about, but you needed to know.